Hello, guys. Welcome to my channel. My name is Sam. I currently work as a simulation teaching fellow in psychiatry. In terms of my previous jobs, I completed my course psychiatry training in February 2025, and I am on course to start my higher specialty training in general adult psychiatry from February 2026. Right. So the purpose of this video is to help colleagues who are new to psychiatry training, to help them navigate the ePortfolio system, which we have for training. It is called a portfolio online. Uh, so to have access to this portfolio, you first of all need to register with the Royal College of Psychiatrists as a pre-member psychiatry trainee. I'll drop the link in the comment section for this. Once you register for that, you can sign up for the portfolio online, which comes with an annual subscription, of £167. You'll send shot by in bite size, just so I don't end up overloading you with information. Okay. Okay. So let's dive straight into the portfolio. Because I was in training, I still have access to my portfolio online. I've already signed in. The first part of this video is to take you through a general outlook of the portfolio online. Okay, so once you sign in, you see these tabs. There's the dashboard, profile, portfolio, and then forms. Now the dashboard gives you a general overview of your portfolio. Okay, so this is how it looks like. Yeah, so that's the interface for it. Now, if you are starting CT1 or you are starting at ST4, you would need to create a folder, a training level folder, by clicking on this tab here, which is called a new training level folder. Okay, I will come back to this in subsequent videos, but this is just to give you a general overview of how the portfolio works. Okay, so that's the dashboard tab. Next is the profile tab. Over here, the section contains your bio data. Okay, which you can edit. Okay, you can also upload a picture of yourself if you fancy that. Okay, I put up a picture of myself there, but it's entirely up to you. Okay, now this is what comes up when you click on the profile. Now to edit your details, you can click on this tab, and then you fill in your particulars here, your full name, your surname, and how you'd want your name to be displayed on your portfolio. Fill in your date of birth, your gender, your position. So that will be called trainee. If you are a higher trainee, once you click on the drop box, you can select higher trainee. Okay. You can put in your mobile number. It's not a requirement here. Okay. And afterwards, you can update your user, and then that updates your information. The next tab here is to manage emails. Now, at the point of creating or registering with the college, you would have used an email address, which could be your Yahoo Mail or Google Mail, whatever system you use. Okay. Some of you may have NHS email addresses. But at the time of registration, I used my Yahoo email. Okay. And then subsequently, I added on my NHS email, which you can include it in this box here. Okay, register a new email address, and then you click on add. Okay, once you do that, a link will be sent into that email address to make sure it's a valid email. All right, and then you can choose to set one of the emails as your primary email. So whenever the college is emailing you, they're going to email you through the email address you set as your primary address. Okay, the next one is your password. If you want to change your password, you can come in here and then change your password. All right, thank you. Next is the portfolio tab, and this is where most of your entries fall under. Okay, so your activities, your workplace-based assessments, okay, your PDPs. So everything about your training will sit in here. Okay, so you've got a portfolio tab under portfolio. So this would bring up these details here. On the left of my screen. So it will show you your program. So which is psychiatry, the type of training. So that's a specialty training. If you're in core training, it will come up as core training, I guess. Your start date. Okay, so you enter your start date, which is going to be 4th of February 2026. your current post. I'll show you how to fill that in. Your educational supervisor, you can fill that in. Some of these aspects could be pre-populated by the college on your behalf. Okay, so things like your training number and then your GMC TPAN, which is a number, would be pre-populated. Completion of training date. So mine is in 3 years. Well, most of you will be 3 years in core training. So you just put in your completion of training dates, which will be 2029, I guess. And then your RCPsych number, you'll be assigned this by the college. Okay. And you can edit this information by clicking on the edit tab. So once you go into the edit tab, this is what you see. So your school is your deanery. So based in the Northeast. So you just look for your deanery wherever you are training, and then you select that. Okay, your trust. So this is the trust in which you are currently based in for your training. Okay, so you click on the drop down menu, and you would be able to locate your trust. Specialty, because I'm going to hire trainee. I selected general psychiatry, but for you, you select core psychiatry. Okay, this bit is for higher trainees. So if you're a core trainee, this is not relevant. You put your start date here, your Royal College of Psychiatry number. This would be populated, like I said. Okay, completion of training date. You can put that in there. And then the training level folder would be CT1 to 3, ST4 to 6. Okay, you select that. And that should be it. And then you just update the portfolio. And then whatever information you've put in there will reflect on the portfolio details. I hope that's clear enough. All right. If you come to this right-hand side of the screen, as I said earlier, this is just a snapshot of the portfolio for your training level. So this was at the time I was in CT3. So if you create a folder, it will show here CT1. Okay. We'll talk about PDPs and how you create that. So if you have any PDPs, it will show the number of PDPs you have here. Okay. And this bar you see here shows the competencies that need to be achieved during the core psychiatry training program. Okay. So once you map your activities or your learning or your workplace-based assessments to the curriculum, this bar actually changes colors. Okay, so it's got, if you see in orange, which I'll show you a bit later, it shows that you've got some unmapped competencies to cover. Okay, when it goes blue or light blue, this shows that you've fully covered or mapped all the competency requirements needed for your 3-year core training program. I hope that's helpful. Again, when you click on the folders tab, like I said earlier, because I'm going to start in ST4, I've created a folder for ST4. I'll show you that later. This was in my core training program. So that shows me all the activities covered in my CT3. You remember I spoke about the color changes on the bar. So you could choose to call it orange. So it shows that these are outstanding competencies that are yet to be mapped. Okay. However, for this one, I've mapped 45 activities, 6, 8 to specific competencies. So at this stage, I had completed 59, mapped 59 competencies out of 66 for the curriculum. And it's expected that at the end of your core training, you shouldn't have any orange bar. Yeah, meaning you should have mapped to all your competencies. Okay, so there you can see, so every training level has a folder which has all your activities in there. So that's my CT2, that's my CT1 folder. Now you can see that for each training folder, I have a career history. I'll show you how to create a career history. So basically the career histories are all the 6 months postings I had completed during my training. So in CT1, I worked in acute inpatient services. I worked in the early intervention and psychosis team. Okay, so you create that and then you put the dates in there. Okay, so for each of the training levels, you'd have 2 6 months posts. Okay, and that that shows in your career history, which I'll show you in a bit. Okay. Personal development plan. You would agree on a personal development plan with your clinical supervisor at the beginning of your post. Okay, so I'll talk about this in detail in subsequent videos, but this is where you are going to create your PSPDP, that's your placement specific personal development plan. So assuming you are in a community posting, so for instance, in early intervention and psychosis posting, there will be specific personal development plans, or there'll be personal development plans that are specific to that posting and which you can map to certain competencies in your curriculum. Okay, so we'll talk about that later. The next tab is your activities. Okay, so this is where you log in your reflections, you make case log entries of patients you've seen as part of your workplace-based assessment. You'd find it comes up with a summary of every activity you've entered in your portfolio. So it would have your ARCP outcomes, you would have all your workplace-based assessments, you'll have your educational supervisors reports, your clinical supervisors report, your reflections, any activity that you've entered would come up here. Okay, and you can use that to create new activities. Okay, we'll come to that a bit later. The next tab here is your assessment. Okay, so in summary, it is all your workplace-based assessments. Okay, your mini A's, your A's, your direct observation of non-clinical skills, that's your DONGs, your DOBs, short case, long case, case-based discussions. All those assessments can be found here under assessments. Okay, if you wanted to create a new assessment after workplace-based assessments, you click on that tab. We'll again come into we'll speak more about that in subsequent videos. Okay, the next tab is reviews. In reviews, you'd have specifically your ARCP outcomes, your educational supervisors report, your clinical supervisors report. All that would be here in your reviews. Your induction meeting at the start of every rotation, you would find here as well. Okay, any supervision sessions, you can log them in. Once you log them in the activity section, it will be pulled through to this section. All right. Okay. The next tab is the exam tab. So for all exams that you would sit, the college would populate the results of each sitting under this section. You don't need to worry about this section. There's nothing for you to do here. It's populated by the college. So for instance, if you sit your paper A, for example, in June, and depending on the outcome, whether you passed or fail, it will be populated here. Okay, so it's just a log of your exams and the results of your exams. Okay, next is the career history tab. Like I said earlier, this is a summary of all the jobs that I have done, or all my placements in training, okay, over the 3-year period. So I started in February 2022 and ended in February 2025. Okay, so again, I'll show you how to create a career entry. But once you've created a career entry, it pulls through, it gives you this visual display of all the jobs that you've done. Okay, so there's a summary of all my 6 placements. Okay. So again, it pulls through to the section. And the last bit of it is the supervisors. So it's important that for every placement, every 6 months placement, you create a new supervisor relationship. Okay. I'll click on that in this so we can get it over and done. Yeah. So when you click on new supervisor relationship, this comes up and you click on the drop down menu. So it's important to note that you'd have a clinical supervisor and an educational supervisor. Okay, your educational supervisor doesn't change throughout the course of your core training throughout the 3-year period. Your educational supervisor remains the same. However, your clinical supervisor has changed every 6 months. In addition, you also have a training program director that also doesn't change throughout your training program. Okay, so for instance, you are in a inpatient post, so you would create one for a clinical supervisor, add supervisor. Okay, so you have to ask for the email address of your supervisor, and then you enter that email address in this box. Okay, so whatever their email address is, you get that from them, and then most of them would already be known to the portfolio system. So once you type in their email address, it just populates their name, and then you can nominate. Once you click on nominate, sorry about that. Once you click on nominate, it would show you the duration. I can't click on, I can't select one at the moment because I'm yet to start my posting. Okay. So you can do that, and then you'd so once you do that, you would have it will generate another interface where you can fill in the period of your relationship, your supervisor relationship. So for your clinical supervisor, it'll be a 6 month duration. So 4th of February 2026 to, I think it's the 4th of August or 3rd of August, I'm not too sure, 2026. So for that 6 months period. Okay. So when you move to a new post, you can end, there's a tab there. Okay. It's labeled end relationship tab. Okay. You click on that tab, and then it takes off that supervisor's name because you've completed that placement or posting. Okay. And then you create a new one for your current clinical supervisor. All right. And it's the same. It's the same for the educational supervisor. Okay. So again, when you go to supervisors, new supervisor, and then you select educational supervisor, add supervisor. Again, type in their email address, and then that would populate their name. You nominate them, and it will open a new interface for you where you'd see, and then again, fill in the duration of the relationship. So that's going to be from 4th of February 2026 to the end of your training year. That'll be 2029. Okay. And that's when that relationship is going to end. Like I said, your educational supervisor doesn't change. And then you do the same for your training program director. So new supervisor relationship. And then you choose your training program director, add supervisor, get their email address, put that in here. It will populate the name, nominate. Again, the relationship is a 3-year relationship. So start of your training to the end of your 3-year program. Okay, hope that is helpful. I'll see you in the next video where we'll look at creating a new training level folder and a career entry. Thank you for joining me. Bye.